Wonderful. Well, welcome back on stage, folks. We'll go down this way, and I love the title because the title almost gives me an agenda of what we want to talk about: agility, ambition, and execution. Can you tell me a little bit more about how Canadian companies and SMEs can become more agile in this new environment to be able to execute and actually capitalize on opportunities that are coming up in a world that is rapidly changing? Starting with you, Kurtis.
Yeah, I think one of the things that has really come up today is just we need to be more active in painting the future of what can be possible. But also SMEs, I think, kind of have an obligation to succeed, because a lot of these words will fall flat unless we find the commercial market, build up the revenues, and show what can be done. So I think we have to have more SMEs be successful, would be kind of the thing I put on the SME side, is we can't just sit back and complain. We actually have to go out and do it.
So Kurtis said it, and Elliot Penn said it in a panel earlier, but one of my favorite sayings to my team right now is, like, you can just do things, right? Like, you can just do things. The world was built by people no smarter than you, right? And it's a bias towards action, and I think that's extremely important. What I would say in Canada for SMEs is we need a boatload of SMEs to believe, to have the ambition that they can become the primes, to not be complacent with being an SME. I think that is an okay ambition to have, and I think, I look forward to seeing many entrepreneurs and CEOs have that ambition and take advantage of the opportunity that exists in this country today.
So I don't think SMEs need to be more agile. They are agile by definition. That's our purpose in life, is to be agile. The most important thing an SME has to do is survive, not exist and wait for an RFP or an RFI or a government specification. They have to survive. Payday's Friday. So that's lost on anybody who's never created their own company. You got to make payroll every Friday. And the miracle of an SME is that you've managed to exist. So I made my first presentation to DRDC about the need for Canada to have space domain awareness in November of 2014. Pause for silence. 2014. So it hurts to have a vision. It hurts to see the problem, know what needs to be done, and then have the courage to survive. And anybody who's an SME CEO knows that. And so everyone should recognize the great value that SMEs are not peripheral to the value chain. We are actually the core of the value chain, because in this geopolitical situation, resilience, responsiveness, and agility are the key words, not let's wait for the government to give us a spec.
And I think it's a fair point, because we've heard today we don't have a major Canadian prime in this space, and I think that's our advantage. SMEs are flexible and are able to adapt, but you did touch on the topic of survivability, right? How do you set that ambition, that expectation as a company if Friday is payroll? So maybe, Stewart, we can continue from that side and coming back. How do you set ambition for an SME who is thinking about Friday? How do you set the ambition large enough that you believe you can be a prime, yet still make it at that point?
I think Elliot, he's probably gone, but I think Elliot captured it really well. Ambitious people work for ambitious companies. Okay? So it's not about, I'll say their names once, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos. Peter Beck's a little bit different. He's a fantastic guy. He's just a great guy. I mean, he's really a true person. But it's not about the individuals. It's not about Hollywood. It's not about ego. It's about the mission. There's a mission that needs to be solved. And the launch vehicles, as James was pointing out, the launch vehicles are an enabler to a data service. It's the data service that demands the launches. We're all data service people, so we demand launch. And why are we bringing a service to the table? Because the client, the government, needs it like right now. And even though you could have been talking about it for 12 years like I have, they need it now. So now we need launch. So now we have a demand. So the whole ecosystem starts to take the proper shape. Let's not wait for someone inside an institutional setting to create innovation that's going to solve a world-class problem, whether it's ISR, hyperspectral imagery, or space domain awareness?
Our answer, it's very simple. So we started SkyWatch pretty close to November 2014, actually. And you know, try building that business in Canada 12 years ago, extremely difficult. So our strategy was simple. We wanted to build for the commercial customer. You know, we saw Earth observation remote sensing very similar to GPS, which was that, you know, you had a government-dominated market. Access from commercial markets to that government technology was fairly limited, but we saw it as a true enabler of future economic activity, and we wanted to be the company that figured out how to enable the commercial markets to leverage it and build, you know, trillions of dollars of economic value on top of it. So forcing ourselves to really think through a business model where real commercial customers would pay for us allowed us to build a business model that has allowed us to survive, and to really look at going after government as a sort of icing on the cake opportunity, as opposed to being critical to our survival.
Play some trade mics off. So yeah, that's a super interesting question. I think going back into Wyvern's history, you know, out of school, we're like, we're going to design the best satellite. It's going to have like the best resolution. It's going to be great. It's going to be super. And everyone's going to want this data. It's going to be so good. But then you like, I don't know, maybe some people are smarter than me and figure this out faster, but I think we spent like 2 years trying to sell this, and like we needed to raise like $50 million to like launch one. And you quickly realize you have to figure out, you have to really break down these massive problems into very incremental steps. So that's how we moved from that to a much simpler constellation, and even doing things like getting contracts or consulting work on the side just to keep the lights on. And you're always trying to move forward. And I remember we went to an event down in the States, and one of our competitors got announced. I think Elon Musk was on the stage. They won like $32 million in AFRL contracts, and we already had a satellite up, and they had like a concept study. And we're like, wow, that's that's pretty crazy. So you're kind of, but I mean, it doesn't matter what other people are doing. It's only what you can do next, and can you continue to move the company forward by breaking down the problem a little bit, maybe launching an incremental product, something that's not quite as good. And you see this with the rocket companies, like with NorthSpace's presentation, like you have to build, you know, maybe satellite systems that will create some demand. So it's always, I think you kind of learn over time. You can't just maybe go for the big thing. You got to like break it down and slowly get there while keeping that really big idea in mind.
So manageable small steps, that makes a lot of sense. And you know, a reason I'm here is I'm very patriotic, and I appreciate that all three of the companies are Canadian companies. But you've all touched in your own way about the challenges of operating in Canada, whether you are designing, building your satellites outside of Canada and launching them outside of Canada while being a Canadian company, or struggling to, you know, get settled here. Why did you decide as entrepreneurs to establish yourself in Canada? What are the advantages of this country? What can we do better for SMEs, and where do you see it going in the future?
Yeah, I think like most people in Edmonton, we're there for the weather. So, I don't know. I think it just felt like we wanted to do it in Canada, and I thought hyperspectral is really good, especially for natural resource companies. And it felt like there was, if agriculture was one of our top markets, being in Edmonton was an advantage. Now I would say we have raised all of our capital, most capital from outside of Canada, which has always been a bit of an awkward thing, especially now. And I think that will continue to be an issue. But I think it really is just the founders deciding they wanted to build something here. And I don't know if it's actually more complicated than that. We like Canada and wanted to build something in Canada.
Yeah, something about the entrepreneur gene attracts you to pain. And so I like to make the choice that is the most painful choice. And it was, you know, it probably would have been quite a lot easier to have built this company in the United States. It really would have been. But I believe in this country, and I believe in its future. And it was actually largely motivated by not wanting to take the easy path, because I saw so many entrepreneurs take the easy path. And I wanted to build something that we could be proud of here in Canada, and that we could use as a sort of a North Star for what you could do or what could come